and his demise seemed to me fortunate. It was some 3 days afterwards, when my vacation had just begun, that I received a visitor at my own apartments, a lady, heavily veiled, but evidently quite young, and I perceived at once that she was a jeune fille tout à fait comme il faut. "You are Monsieur Hercule Poirot?" she asked in a low, sweet voice. I bowed. "Of the detective service?" Again I bowed. "Be seated, I pray of you, mademoiselle," I said. She accepted a chair and drew aside her veil. Her face was charming, though marred with tears, and haunted as though with some poignant anxiety. "Monsieur," she declared, "I understand that you are now taking a vacation. Therefore you will be free to take up a private case. You understand that I do not wish to call in the police." I shook my head. "I fear what you ask is impossible, mademoiselle. Even though on vacation, I am still of the police." She leaned forward. "Écoutez, monsieur. All that I ask of you is to investigate. The result of your investigations you are at perfect liberty to report to the police. If what I believe to be true is true, we shall need all the machinery of the law." That placed a somewhat different complexion on the matter, and I placed myself at her service without more ado. A slight colour rose in her cheeks. "I thank you, monsieur. It is the death of Monsieur Paul Deroulard that I ask you to investigate." "Comment?" I exclaimed, surprised. "Monsieur, I have nothing to go upon, nothing but my woman's instinct, but I am convinced, I tell you, that Monsieur Deroulard did not die a natural death." "But surely the doctors—" "Doctors may be mistaken. He was so robust, so strong. Ah, Monsieur Poirot, I beseech of you to help me." The poor child was almost beside herself. She would have knelt to me. I soothed her as best I could. "I will help you, mademoiselle. I feel almost sure that your fears are unfounded, but we will see. First, I will ask you to describe to me the inmates of the house. There are the domestics, of course, Jeannette, Félicie, and Denise the cook. She has been there for many years. The others are simple country girls. Also there is François, but he too is an old servant. Then there is Monsieur Deroulard's mother, who lived with him, and myself. My name is Virginie Ménard. I am a poor cousin of the late Madame Deroulard, Monsieur Paul's wife, and I have been a member of their ménage for over 3 years. I have now described to you the household. There were also 2 guests staying in the house." "And they were?" "Monsieur de Saint-Hilaire, a neighbor of Monsieur Deroulard's in France. Also an English friend, Mr. John Wilson." "Are they still with you?" "Monsieur Wilson, yes, but Monsieur de Saint-Hilaire departed yesterday." "And what is your plan, Mademoiselle Ménard?" "If you will present yourself at the house in half an hour's time, I will have arranged some story to account for your presence. I had better represent you to be connected with journalism in some way. I should say you have come from Paris, and that you have brought a card of introduction from Monsieur de Saint-Hilaire. Madame Deroulard is very feeble in health, and will pay little attention to details." On Mademoiselle's ingenious pretext, I was admitted to the house, and after a brief interview with the dead deputy's mother, who was a wonderfully imposing and aristocratic figure, though obviously in failing health, I was made free of the premises. "I wonder, my friend," continued Poirot, "whether you can possibly figure to yourself the difficulties of my task. Here was a man whose death had taken place 3 days previously. If there had been foul play, only one possibility was admissible: poison, and I had had no chance of seeing the body. And there was no possibility of examining or analyzing any medium in which the poison could have been administered. There were no clues, false or otherwise, to consider. Had the man been poisoned? Had he died a natural death? I, Hercule Poirot, with nothing to help me, had to decide. First, I interviewed the domestics, and with their aid I recapitulated the evening. I paid especial notice to the food at dinner and the method of serving it. The soup had been served by Monsieur Deroulard himself from a tureen. Next, a dish of cutlets, then a chicken. Finally, a compote of fruits, and all placed on the table and served by Monsieur himself. The coffee was brought in a big pot to the dining table. Nothing there, mon ami. Impossible to poison one without poisoning all. After dinner, Madame Deroulard had retired to her own apartments, and Mademoiselle Virginie had accompanied her. The 3 men had adjourned to Monsieur Deroulard's study. Here they had chattered amicably for some time, when suddenly, without any warning, the deputy had fallen heavily to the ground. Monsieur de Saint-Hilaire had rushed out and told François to fetch a doctor immediately. He said it was without doubt an apoplexy, explained the man. But when the doctor arrived, the patient was past help. Mr. John Wilson, to whom I was presented by Mademoiselle Virginie, was what was known in those days as a regular John Bull Englishman, middle-aged and burly. His account, delivered in very British French,